30,000 years ago, the native residents of the Rogue Valley woke up every day to the magnificent sight of their neighborhood mountain, Mount Mazama. The Klamath Native Americans of the area believed that the mountain was inhabited by Lao, their god of the underworld. The mountain was a symbol of power and strength for these people. About 30,000 years ago, Mount Mazama began to show signs of instability, living up to its identity as a stratovolcano. A stratovolcano is a mountain built up of layer upon layer of lava and ash. Smoke began to leak out of the crevices in the rock, followed by lava. Increasingly explosive eruptions were a sign that magma, deep beneath the mountain, was yearning to get out. About 7,700 years ago, around 5,677 BC, the eruptions finally reached their peak. The Klamath people thought these eruptions were signs of a war between their great god Lao and Skell, his adversary.
On the day that changed history, the earth began to shake violently, ripping trees out from their roots. A single vent on the northeast side of the volcano began to smoke, sending a towering column of pumice and ash 30 miles into the air. Winds started swirling around the mountain, carrying ash across much of the Pacific Northwest and parts of southern Canada. So much magma erupted that the volcano began to collapse upon itself, circular cracks opening up in fiery vents around the peak. Magma erupted from these cracks, racing down the slopes as molten pyroclastic flows.
The eruption of Mount Mazama was over 42 times greater than the Mount St. Helens eruption and blew off about a mile of earth from its top. Hundreds of square miles surrounding the area were covered in ash, almost the entire state of Oregon. At its deepest points, ash fell over the entire Pacific Northwest, was as deep as 20 feet.
With a heave and a ho, the peak of the volcano finally collapsed upon itself. When the smoke finally cleared, the Klamath people found their mountain, home of the great Lao, forever changed. He had finally defeated Skell, but his home at the top of Mount Mazama was no more. It had sunk in upon itself, forming a volcanic depression called a caldera. The great sinkhole was 5 miles long and 1 mile deep.
Years passed. Rain fell in the spring and snow fell in the winter. Trees finally began to grow back and animals returned to their homes. Small eruptions continued from small vents in the base of the caldera, but not fast enough. Over time, the 4,000-foot depth of the caldera was filled with rocks and ash, and then rain and snow. Because no streams or creeks flow into the caldera, all the water that enters the caldera, now one of the world's deepest lakes, is extremely pure. Today, Crater Lake, at 1,958 feet, is the second deepest lake in North America and the deepest in the United States. Crater Lake is now a national park, visited by thousands of people each year. Scientists are still studying the mysteries of Mount Mazama, diving into its depths, listening to the murmur of magma deep below, but best of all, imagining what it must have been like to see Mount Mazama in all of its 8,000 feet of glory, rising up from the forest landscape thousands of years ago.